Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ice Cold Takes podcast. I'm your host, Joey DeMeglio, and today is the final episode of 2022. And joining me to talk about Alexis Lafrenière being scratched is his father, quote unquote, Snagz. Thanks so much for doing this last minute. How are you, man?
No, I'm great. Obviously, as his dad and my son being scratched, I was a little unhinged on Twitter the past couple days, memeing pretty hard. But he's back in the lineup. Everything's great, and we're looking at a great new year. Thanks
Right.
for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Again, like I said, I really appreciate you doing it last minute. Literally recording this on New Year's Eve. It's 3:12 in the afternoon Eastern time, and I just wanted to close out 2022 with one last episode. So maybe this one will be a little bit shorter. Um, but Alexis Lafreniere is it's a big topic, and I wanted to talk about it. So him being scratched, this hasn't happened in since last season, and I could almost completely forgot that he was scratched last season. Um, he was scratched in a game against Philly, and then the next game he came back and he scored 2 goals, including his signature moment between the legs goal. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's actually the background on my phone. So yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
Yep. So here's to hoping that that will happen again. Um, Initial thoughts on the scratching. I know you were pretty disgruntled, but go ahead and take us through your thoughts on that.
You know what? Like I tell a lot of people, uh, if you believe anything anyone writes on Twitter, most of it's just memes, and I memed super hard the last 2 days. But on this show, I'm going to give like my honest opinions with him, Gallant, whatever we get into. Um, to be completely honest, if you look at the stats, he is having a better year so far than last year. I think he tied or broke his season high in assists just maybe a couple games ago. But he hasn't been playing number one pick hockey. And I know there's a lot that goes into that. He doesn't get power play time. He doesn't play in the top six. He doesn't play with a lot of guys uh, Hughes and those top players. Um, and I think a big thing too that people don't understand is I believe he is the only number one pick to ever be drafted by a playoff team. I would have to check it, but I'm pretty sure he's the only number one pick to ever be drafted by a team that made the playoffs that year. So it's a really unique situation. Putting all that aside, he has to play better. He has to show that intensity I saw in the playoffs. I want to see stronger on the puck. I want to see him skate, and I think bringing up his skating, that's the number one place he lacks. And I know I could get a lot of heat from Lafreniere lovers. I hope they understand I'm one of his biggest supporters. He's not showing an elite sign in anything. He's not being an elite skater. He's not being elite stick handler. He's not being these things that make these other guys stand out. So I think he has to be told by the organization what they want him to be, focus on that. And if it's being an elite, you know, checking player where you're strong on the puck and taking the puck behind the net, whatever it is, he has to focus on. And I think Gallant wants to see him along with us play harder all the time.
I 100% agree with that assessment there about his skating. Some would even go as far as saying he's being lazy, to which I would say I don't agree with that. I don't think he's being lazy. It's to me, it's this very similar to, this conversation around this time last season. I remember, the Rangers had a West Coast road trip, and at some point they played the Golden Knights, and in that game I counted how many times he touched the puck, and it was only like 20 times that he touched the puck, whereas a guy like Panarin will have it like 40, 50, 60 times a game,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that has to do with like where he's positioning himself on the ice, and some people have even called that out too. I think Larry Brooks called that out in one of his articles the other day. But speed aside, definitely needs to improve on that. Um, I think, yeah, I think positionally he could get a little bit better, but he's also not like horrible at even strength. Like he's one of the best performers on the team in terms of even strength. Like he's 14 5-on-5 points. He doesn't get any power play time, like you said. And you look at other guys around the league that are picked, in the same area, like top 5, top 10 picks, like Zegras, Jack Hughes, Quinn
Yeah.
Hughes. All those guys get power play time. Lucas Raymond probably. All those guys get power play time, and Lafreniere doesn't. So when you're playing only like 12, 13, 14 minutes a night, even strength, you're only going to have so many points. And production wise, at even strength, it compares to certain first overall picks like Stamkos, and maybe not like a Crosby or McDavid, but even strength wise, he's still up there with some notable first overall picks. I've seen charts or people compare like his goal totals. It's up there. He's got like 36, around 40 goals, even strength wise, since he's been drafted. He has no goals on the power play. None.
No.
Only 3 career points on the power play. So a lot of it I think has to do with Gerard Gallant's decision making. And initially, I'll agree with you. I was I was scratching my head at the moment that why is he being scratched in place of Sammy Blay? It's not like the Zach Wilson situation with the Jets in football. Mike White is like a capable is better than Zach Wilson at this moment. Sammy
Absolutely.
Blay is not better than Alexis Lafrenière. There's no way. There's no other way you could look at it. It's just you can't compare the two players. I understand Lafrenière is playing like a little bit lackluster for his standards and for a first overall pick. But what I don't understand is giving a guy like Sammy Blay opportunity after opportunity. It doesn't make any sense. It's the same thing that we always say about Libor Hayek. Why does that guy get opportunity after opportunity, whereas guys like Lafreniere, Kravtsov are seemingly have the shortest leash possible?
Yeah, I and just to say something, it's interesting, right? Like I think what people forget is developmentally we have some really good defensive and goaltender prospects that have prospered on our team. The list goes on though. You remember a guy, Elias Anderson? You
Oh
know, you
yeah,
got you got guys Vitaly Kravtsov, Capo Kako, and Alexis Lafreniere. When you look at those and you specifically take Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere, there wasn't a single scout that looked at either of those guys and said, this guy does not deserve to be in the top 3. There was a I think it was a TSN broadcast when Capo was going through where he was going to go and they were showing highlights. Under negatives, they literally listed the word none. They said none. He didn't have a negative. So, okay. And again, a lot of guys go to the NHL, they have to develop. The New York Rangers are maybe the worst team in the league at developing offensive prospects. I mean, I can't think of a team that doesn't put their young players in places to succeed. Now, with Lafreniere, I think it's a little different and it's hard to do finger pointing. It's definitely a mix of him not being able to get on the same page and progress how he wants, and the organization not being able to put him on power play 1, top 6 minutes. You listed guys like Zegras, guys like Hughes, guys like Raymond. All those guys went to their team and immediately were put on power play 1 and top 6 time. Lafreniere has maybe played 1/8 of his shifts in top 6 time and not a single shift on the top power play, because when there's an injury, Hedel goes in, which again I'm fine with because Hedel's been playing great. But you cannot sit there as a Ranger fan and blame this on Lafreniere, and it's also kind of hard to blame it on the Rangers. But both of them, especially the Rangers, have to hold accountability for their lack of responsibility that they've had to produce these offensive players, because the list goes on with guys that haven't produced for us.
it's an old school way of thinking with the new school of the NHL. Like I understand you want them to work for it, and I never understood until I talked to Johnny Lazarus about the Capo Caco scratching. The way I wanted Caco to feel is different than what the organization wanted him
I
to
agree.
to do. So they wanted him to him being scratched to be a lesson for him. They didn't want him. I personally would rather him see right now as a young player that moment, that sour taste in his mouth, when he witnesses the Tampa Bay Lightning winning the Eastern Conference Final, the handshake line, and that feeling of I have to do all of this and come back next year. I would want him to do
I
that.
couldn't agree
But
more.
right, but take a look at how he's played this year. He's looked so damn good.
Yes, he has, bro.
He has looked the best he's ever had. And people will roll their eyes at me and say, "Well, he's not getting the goals." He is like the unluckiest forward the Rangers have this year. Did you see that in the shootout? He deked the hell out of Andre Vasilevsky. His jock strap was in the 15th row. Like if it weren't for that piece of iron in the net, that the Rangers win that game. He
He
completely fooled him.
he's gonna get there, man. I mean, all you have to do is watch the games to realize that he is. I mean, I don't know if he could be more on the brink of breaking out, and I know it's so frustrating for Ranger fans that he's not scoring. But what is he? 22? Guy's
Mhm.
22 years old. A lot of Ranger fans think that the guy's much older than he is because he started with us so young. I mean,
Same thing for
he's
Hedel, but yeah.
okay. How old's Artemi Panarin? Is
Panarin's
he
like 30 or 31.
34? Or yeah, like 31, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this guy is 9 years older than Capo Caco. Just think about that. Think about how insane that is, man. That's 9 years of experience. That's 9 years of shifts, 9 years of shooting, 9 years of seeing the ice. I can't even imagine where these guys are going to be in 9 years. And I think it would be such an unbelievable mistake to give up on them so early.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But the steps it took to get Kako to become who he is right now, it doesn't make any sense. Like
I know.
all the time he was moved up the lineup, down the lineup, in the middle of the lineup, power play time, no power play time. You're benched, you're not benched. You're playing, you're not playing. This year has been the development for Kako. I'll give it an A. Honestly, Gallant has rode him out. He's given him opportunity after opportunity. He makes that mistake against the Islanders, and instead of benching him like David Quinn would have, obviously would have done, he lets him play and he comes through with the game-winning goal. That
Absolutely.
is what we need to have happen for Lafrenière. And I
Yes.
think they are hoping that scratching him is going to do the same thing as it did for Kako.
Yeah, I agree.
But this all the other steps that came before, they make no sense. Absolutely no sense. You could have just let him play in the same damn spot in the top 6, and if he still played the way that he's playing, that Lafreniere is playing right now, okay, then it'd be like no demotion. You're sitting for tonight. Then come back in the next game and prove us wrong. That's what it should have been. It shouldn't be all right. Let me put you on the third line. Now let me put you on the fourth line. Oh, let's put you back up to the first line for 7 games. Plays his best hockey. Then, all right, let's put you down to the third line with Barclay Goodrow. Like, it's all over the place, and it's the same thing for the rest of the team too. It's not even just limited to the young guys like Hedel, Kako, Lafreniere, Kravtsov. It's not even limited to those guys. Like right now, Gerard Gallant, the line was, I might change the lines by the time I get down to the end of the hallway.
Dude, it's because it's true. And listen, I'm going to say something that's probably super unpopular for people listening, but it's only because I'm 31 years old. I've watched a lot of Ranger hockey. Gerard Gallant is the right coach for the New York Rangers. I believe he's the right coach, maybe at the wrong time. I think they had to get him, so they got him. And I think one of his biggest flaws in my eyes is how he handles young players. I think that with Kako, it's working out. I don't know if it works out for everyone, and it's an in my opinion type thing. I just don't like how he handles them. I don't like that he gives insane leashes to older players and he kind of is like, "Oh, you got to earn this." It's like the guy's the number 1 pick, man. I mean, there's a point where you got to put him in the top 6. You got to put him on the number 1 power play. And not to mention our number 1 power play is not acting like a number 1 power play. What are they? Oh, what are they? 1 in 19, some insane stat. Can someone tell him he's allowed to change the power play lines? I don't know if he knows that. I think he only thinks he could change even strength lines.
Right.
Does it really hurt us to take like a guy like Trocheck or Kreider out of there for, I don't know, 2 or 3 games and put like Heedle or Kako or one of these young guys, give him a chance. I think Larry Brooks wrote about it
Yeah.
that Lafreniere's a great eyes on the ice. Why is he not playing out there? And getting a little off track, the other thing that I don't like Gallant for is his line changing. I
Mhm.
posted a tweet today about him saying he hates changing lines, and he's laughing during it because he knows how ridiculous it sounds, man. Like, there is no way that more than a third of the way through the season we don't even have a set line. I think the only two players that have set spots on our lineup are Mika and Fox. Other than that, every single player is thrown into a blender. He hits the button and he picks uh, names out. And then if he picks a kid in the top 6, he throws it back into the blender. It's insane, dude. I don't know why it's so hard. I mean, in my eyes, if I had to pick off the top of my head, I always end up screwing this up thinking about it, but I would put Kreider, Zibanejad, Kako, and I would put Panarin, Trocheck, and Lafreniere, and please just leave it for more than 1 hour. Like, give it a 20-game period and see what comes of it. I mean, how much damage can it do to just try?
We've come full circle. Those are what the lines are pretty close to right now. Like the full at the beginning of the year, those were the lines. It was Panarin, it was Kreider, Jesus, Kreider, Zibanejad, Kako, then Panarin, Trocheck, and Vitaly Kravtsov. That is what it is right now in practice. Then it was Lafreniere on the third line with Heedle, and I don't know who originally was the right winger. Maybe it was VZ at the beginning
How
of the
can
year,
you
but
remember? They change every 10 minutes.
I
I
know,
can't even
for
think
real.
about who was where and what was
Think,
what.
you know what's crazy? Last year, think of how many times fans were calling for all these line changes at even strength, and he didn't budge a single time.
It's because he has a burner account and he hears it now and he's like, I'm going to stick it to him.
Right.
I am going to mix these lines up.
Last year, he didn't make enough. This year, he's making way too many. So it's like it's the Goldilocks of the Three Bears
I know.
syndrome. Like, honestly, we need some consistency. I understand that he's saying that
Wait, what was
the
that
team
word? What did you just say? What word?
consistency.
That's why some guy just got scratched last. That's never mind.
Right.
Never mind. Yeah.
Right. Oh man. But like these lines here, Kreider, Zibanejad, Kako was people, the analytics people have been calling for it. Mercogliano has been calling for it. That was our best line.
Because it's a good line.
It is a good line. It's just because they're not they weren't getting the puck luck doesn't mean that they're a bad line. No, it's gonna come. It's gonna come eventually. They just got to keep doing the things that were working, and the puck's gonna go in eventually. But you have to keep working. You keep making a constant effort at it. You don't just keep cycling the puck or whatever. Owning time. You have to do all the right things too. I think back to what Valley said after that Chicago game where like luck comes when you put the effort in. I don't know if you saw that. I need that clip, but Valaket was talking about how you earn the luck. You earn it when you're
Yeah, it's a
playing the
direct
right way.
correlation. The harder you work, the more lucky you get. And if you think it's the other way around, go try to not work hard. You won't get
Right.
lucky. It doesn't happen.
Right. You need to do all the right things. Right now, I'm seeing Kako do all the right things. I'm seeing Kravtsov play really, really well. Like
Yeah, he played great.
unbelievable. That third line. I wish they could keep that line together. I would
They
almost swap.
could if they took
Yeah,
Laffy and made him the number 2 right winger.
exactly.
If anyone from the Rangers organization is hearing this, take Lafreniere and make him your number 2 right winger, and we will be successful.
Honestly, it's like I think if I had to make a prediction, I think that's the next move that Gallant makes.
That's a bold statement because I think I did the math last night. There's 987 more combos he has to
Right.
go through
Yeah.
to put that together.
Right. And it involves Goudreau getting top 6 ice time.
Yeah, and Sammy Blaze.
Yeah, and Sammy Blake getting back with Kreider and Zibanejad. Oh my god. Yeah, but honestly, like Gauthier, Kravtsov, and Heedle worked really, really well. I like what I saw. Small sample size, only one game, but they worked. All three of those guys played outstanding. They were our best forwards for sure. In
All
that
year,
game.
Gauthier has been playing great. I mean, I
I've
meme
said it
about
for
him
so long.
all the time on breakaways, but he has honestly been probably one of our more consistent players. I mean, he doesn't have the points there, but again, if you're just stat watching, like, what's the point of like actually watching the game? If you watch the game, you can see Gauthier work. He works hard, man.
He's like a perfect third or fourth liner for us right now. Like the skills that he brings and the fact that he doesn't, get the puck in the back of the net, but he draws penalties, man. He changes momentum so that the way it's supposed to work is he changes momentum so that our top guys ride that momentum and capitalize
Yep.
on it.
Go
That's
in
what
the offensive zone and cycle the puck. That is your job.
right, right. And the top guys have to start scoring at even strength. Like Kreider's advantage have hit a funk recently. And
Dude.
the power play is not doing well either. So where's the goals coming from? You need to score. So those guys got to wake up. And it's I know the team is 8-3 in their last 11, but they could be playing. I'll agree with Gallant there. I think they could be playing so much better,
Yeah, you
so
hit the
much
nail
better.
on the head there. They can be playing way better. I mean, listen, we're going against Vasilevsky, guys, insane. You can't score one even strength goal and expect to win the game. I mean,
Hmm.
if we did win that game, it was like we stole it. I mean, I
Hmm.
think we played pretty well, but again, you have to start putting the pucks in the net. And like, I love Zibanejad, and if you talk any sort of smack about him, you get absolutely canceled everywhere. But the guy just has to start producing 5v5. He had that goal in the Lightning game, even strength. I think it was his first even strength goal in what, like 13 or
11,
something games.
11 games, I think.
That's a long time for a number one center, man. I get he's a great two-way player. He's probably the best overall player on our team besides Igor. He and Fox. Overall, he's amazing, but we need him to start scoring, man. And
Hmm.
like Kreider and him getting back together, I mean, I like it. Kreider, has the most goals on our team, so I understand it. I love Kako on that line. I just think one more move into the top six, I can't even imagine who it would be. But if he gets there, my son, we
Hmm.
might be able to do something with it. I'd love to see him get the chance for an extended streak. Listen, if he gets 20 games there and he doesn't produce, scratch him, take him off, but give him a chance, man.
Right. It's got to be more than what they did before. Like the 15, they look fine. They look fine through 15 games. And honestly, I don't know why he decided to change everything. It was just because the puck luck wasn't there. I was totally, totally confident in that team, but people were flipping out that the results weren't there. I thought they were fine. It's
We're
just they
number
can.
one in the
Yeah.
league in post hits, right? So
Oh yeah. Oh
if
yeah.
if a quarter or a third of them in the beginning of the season went in, do those lines even get changed? I don't know.
Right.
They might. That's the thing, and like, yeah, it sucks that they hit and went out. But if a fifth of them went in, we lose a lot of those games by 1 or 2 goals. We end up winning those games. Are the lines the same? Like, what
Hmm.
happens? I don't know.
Trocheck hit like 15 posts. I swear. I swear. I don't know
Yeah,
what the actual stat is on him, but ever since then, he's like completely missing the net now. Like it's just every time the Rangers miss a shot, like I could close my eyes and just bet that it's Trocheck and it's probably him.
my dad calls him post check. So yeah,
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, too many line changes, I'd say right now. I think the reason I'm saying that Lafreniere might go back in on that line for Kravtsov, if Kravtsov like starts playing really well, then yeah, keep him there. Obviously, like if he gets points or whatever. But remember how like Kravtsov started and on the fourth line when he put him back in, when Glenn put him back in,
yeah.
and then he was talking about his perfect lines, and it was all about Kravtsov just becoming more comfortable, and then he made the change like
He
during the
wanted him to earn
Blackhawks.
it.
He wanted him to earn it. So maybe it's going to be the same thing with Lafreniere. I
I
wouldn't
hope
hold my
so.
breath. Yeah, I hope so too. But um, I like Kravtsov, but if you flip Lafreniere and Kravtsov, I think it'll still work. But you got to put Gauthier with Hedel and Kravtsov because that obviously worked. And I loved Trocheck, Kreider, and VZ together. I love that third line. I thought that was
Was
great.
was VZ? I can't remember today. Was he on the third line with Hedel and Laffy?
I'm gonna check right now.
I think he
That's
was, right? I mean, listen, I love VZ, and I think he's doing a great job for his PTO, but I would really like Gauthier to stay up there. His speed is such a game changer, man. I would love to know his penalties per 60, drawn penalties per 60. It has to be high.
oh
It has to be up there, man.
Gauthier. It's like
Yeah.
it's among the best in the league.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I've
if
done
if
it
you
before.
ask me, like off the top of my head, I'd probably say it's like top 10 in the league. Like, and
It is.
it's amazing.
I'm looking at it on Natural Stat Trick right now. So penalties drawn per 60. Let's see. Let's see. Oh wait, this is on ice. Hang on, I gotta change
It
it to
has to, dude.
individual.
He
But
has to
yeah,
be like top 10.
it's definitely first on the Rangers for sure. Yeah, actually, yeah. So it's 2.33 penalties drawn per 60. That's insane.
That's
That's
nuts,
nuts.
man. The guy's a
He's
workhorse. He works hard, and if Gallant truly believes in consistency and working hard, I don't know why he's not getting that time on the third line.
ironically second, not including Dryden Hunt, who only played 3 games for us, but second on the list is Sammy Blais with 1.83, I believe, 1.83 penalties drawn per 60. So interesting, but Gauthier draws a crap ton of penalties,
I
man.
know,
Like,
man.
yeah, that's his biggest attribute. I've always said that too. Like, you got to keep someone like that in the lineup, but especially last year when the team was so heavily reliant on their power play unit.
Yeah.
um, okay, so I'm looking at the lines today. Colin Stevenson. Um, third line is Lafrenière, Hedel, and Vesey.
I
Fourth,
just really would like to see Gautier there, man.
yeah,
I
I know,
again,
right?
I would like to
He
see
earned
Lafreniere
it.
on the second line, but if he's gonna be on the third with Hedel, Gautier just fits that spot.
Yeah, I need Lafrenière to come into his own and start, taking matters into his own hands. Like, I want him to play. I want him to play, but I also want him to play well, and I know he's capable of that. We remember when he did that, when he was scratched last year. He came back and he went on a tear
I
from
know.
that moment until the playoffs for his standards, at least. Like, he scored, I think it was like 7 goals, I think, between the time he was scratched and the end of the season, and which is nuts for him. And he chipped in the playoffs, and everyone was raving about, like, was it you that posted the clip of John Cooper giving praise?
Yeah, well, someone had posted it, and then I just like shared it. But yeah,
Okay.
it was him going through the line saying, "You guys got a great team." Hey, I think he said, "Hey, Laffy, you guys have a great team." And I think Cooper was the guy who said he sat up there when we got eliminated, and he said, "Listen, that guy Gallant, he'll be up here sitting in the same spot in a couple years." It's not a mystery that the Rangers are very talented. They just need to start scoring 5v5. That's their biggest weakness right now. If they can break through and start, first of all, hitting the net, and second of all, scoring 5v5, they'll be in a great spot.
I said a few weeks ago that the Rangers, the team was in like when the team was in shambles, they desperately needed a hot streak to get him out of there. They've gotten the hot streak. Now, to get them to contender status, the kids got to start pulling their weight. Like Hedel, Kako, and they were doing a lot of the work in that 8-game winning streak, but they got to have to, if Panarin and Zibanejad and Kreider still can't score at 5v5, they're going to have to start getting those even strength goals, because we know they're not going to get the power play goals because they're never on the power play.
No, the
So,
power plays kind of got like figured out, I think, is what like you were getting at. Is
right.
like they got two plays. They got Panarin shoots middle right ice, and then they have Zibanejad taking a
For the
one
tip,
timer.
right? Yeah,
They
for the
try
tip.
this little weird like Kreider to Trocheck type deal, but it just like either Trocheck misses or Kreider mishandles the puck, and I can't, I don't like that play. I don't like that set play. I think it's maybe worked like once this year where Trocheck's got a little one timer and it's went in from Kreider. I mean, I really don't understand what I would like a reporter to ask Gallant why he is against the change of a player on the power play. I maybe it's sideness of the stick, like a righty or a lefty. I don't
He's
know.
got
I
four
just want
righties.
him to say it. You know what I mean?
He's
I
got
want to know
four
why.
righties. He's got 4 righties on one unit. So it's not the handedness. Like, he he was asked about that. I think Mercogliano asked about it, and he just said, "No, no one's being changed for the foreseeable future."
Yeah,
It's
I
just like, really, man? Like,
and
nothing?
it's terrible too because there's not a single left-handed player on our team that deserves to be on the number one unit. Definitely not our first round, number one overall pick. Who's oh wait, he's a lefty. Like give him I just don't, man. It's like that's the thing when I was saying that I don't the things I don't like about Gallant. Like He's got to earn it. Give him a shot, bro. Like, you know how
They
much confidence he could gain from that? Like, I don't know. It's just that kind of bothers me about him, man. Like, just give him a chance. I just don't get
It's
it.
gotta be a whole lot more than just swapping one player because the Rangers don't really use the bumper. Like, Trocheck is barely used. Like, he doesn't touch the
Yeah.
puck a lot on the power play. So, what would have to happen is, like, you'd have to take off, like, Panarin or, yeah, you'd have to take off Panarin or Zibanejad and Trocheck, like,
Yeah,
and
and then and
split
then
them up.
and then, and then at that point, I wouldn't personally, I wouldn't do it unless you just take Trocheck out and put Heedle or Laffy there
Mhm.
just to like mix up a player on the ice, maybe give a different feel, maybe have him wander out a little bit instead of sitting on that bumper, maybe wander to the boards, give Panarin an extra guy to pass back,
Yeah.
like a little umbrella. I don't know. Like, listen, I'm not an NHL hockey coach. This isn't what I'm paid for. But if our power play is 1 for 16 or whatever they are, like maybe the guy who's paid to do it should take action. What's the definition of madness? Sending the same
Mhm.
thing out every time and expecting different results. I mean,
Mhm.
we might have to switch that up a little bit.
Yeah, the power play has not been working, and I'm trying to find that quote here. Okay, yeah, here from a Mercogliano article. He wrote, "Has Gallant given any thought to diversifying with the left-handed shooters such as Hito, Kako, or Lafreniere? No," he said. "These guys are too good to put somebody else in there right now." Okay,
Yeah, they look great right now.
yeah,
That's a
they're
great
great.
call.
They're only
Come
one
on,
for its
man.
last 14, and yeah, it's not good. 0
That's
for
the
5 against the Caps, and 0 for whatever against the Lightning.
that's the leash thing I was talking about. I mean,
I
like, yeah, I what was I I was just watching the game with my dad, and someone, oh, it was like Sammy Blaze one timer missed the net. In my
Oh,
head, the first thing I
yeah.
thought is I go, God forbid Kako or Lafreniere did that. The guy'd be on the fourth line in literally 1 second. Like, that's how it feels like. And I know if I feel it, I know the players feel that, man. And like,
Yeah.
you just gotta, I just wish you would ease up on them a little bit. Maybe give them a little bit more of a leash and
Mhm.
maybe, just maybe, sprinkle them on the power play one. Who knows what confidence Kako could get from throwing him out there for 2 shifts on a power play? And like, you could just change it back if it doesn't work. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is.
It's all mentality, I think, from both sides, from the players like Lafreniere and Kako or Hedel or whatever, and Kravtsov, and on the coaching staff too, like Gallant and even you can even consider management. Like I would consider Drury to be part of like the new gang of new up and coming like
Yeah.
NHLers and stuff like that, the GMs, the front office. Like I would consider Drury to be more of the smarter one. Gallant is definitely more of the older crew. So um I think that's why like he's so stubborn. Like I
He's
said
old
a
school.
couple yeah, he's old school. I said a couple weeks ago that Gallant will ride the same thing like, even if the team is winning, but they're playing really poorly, um, but he's since changed that. Like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now it's
Yeah.
like if it's not broke, then I'm gonna fix it now.
If it
It's like
gets
the complete
scuffed, the
opposite.
whole thing's changing. It's
Right?
like,
Yeah.
come on,
If
man.
there's one blemish, then we're changing this whole thing up. Like, yeah, I understand. There's gonna be a lot. Like the kid line was a good example. They had a lot of energy, but they gave up a crap ton of chances,
I
a lot
know
of
that
chances, and that's a little.
defensively.
Yeah, defensively, it leaves a lot to be desired. I could understand changing that up, but like if you have Panarin or like a Kreider, Zibanejad, and Kako, or Lafreniere, Mika, Kako, that would fine. I thought that was great.
I did too.
Like, oh man, that was just it was such a bummer because I love seeing those guys together. It's what it needed to be for a while. Rob Luker posted all the time. I don't know how you got the right answer. You did the wrong steps, but you got the right answer. I don't know how you did it.
Yeah,
Like he,
it's like when you're like a math teacher and you get a
right,
kid's
yeah, yeah,
paper
yeah, yeah.
back and all the steps are wrong, but they got the right answer. It's like this dude definitely cheated.
I don't know
100%.
how, but you did the wrong steps, but got the right answer. That's exactly what Gerard Glant is this year. That's exactly what it is. Like for that 8 game winning streak, I don't know how he got those line combinations, but he did. And the Rangers won 8 in a row, or 7 or whatever it was, 8 of 9. Uh,
Yeah,
but
but then they
yeah,
hit that one speed bump and he just changed everything after that first period against I can't even remember who it was. Was it the Lightning or no, before the Lightning game?
Capitals.
Yeah, the Capitals. After that first period or period and a
Well,
half, he just switched, and it was like, oh man, it's like
yeah, that I didn't understand either. I have more. I don't understand that more than I don't understand the Lafreniere scratching actually now because it was one bad game, an ugly game after a break. You expect to see some rust, right? Even Lafreniere said it. I felt rusty. It wasn't my best game. He said that. I'm certain that a lot of the players felt the same way too. If you ask like Adam Fox or whatever, he would say the same thing. Also, he did not have a good game in that one. I
no,
looked
he
at his
didn't.
stats. It was not good for Adam Fox.
He's on my
Uh,
fantasy team, and I could tell you right now, he did not have a good game on that one
right.
when he usually
Yep.
does.
Right. So to me, I would have just stuck with I would have just burned the tape. That's why I posted the clip of John Tortorella saying, "We suck from head to toe and we need to move by it." That's a message. Like honestly, I would have just done that, burned the tape. All right, that game didn't happen, guys. You guys are all bag skating and this isn't going to happen again, right? Right. And then you go into Tampa Bay and you put up a performance like that and Bob's your uncle. You don't have to make any line changes.
Yeah, I think it was definitely an overreaction. I think even the
Right.
players after the game, again, it's hard to think back a couple days, but I think even them right after the game, their reaction was like, "Listen, bad game, chalk it up to a bad game. We're gonna forget about it, move past it." And then I watched Gallant's interview because I watch every interview every day that it's posted, and his interview was like so different. We played terrible, and these guys didn't give effort, and Lafreniere wasn't the only guy, but if you want to pick him, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, this seems like a tad bit of an overreaction, and I think it was. But listen, I mean, he's the coach. He made the decision. I hope Laffy comes back tomorrow and has a hat trick. But I mean, and again, I'm sure if he does, I'll have 8 million tweets telling me that I was a moron. So it's what it is. I mean, listen, in the sense of the word, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't as a coach.
Yeah, I swear. I hope that from here on out, Lafreniere never gets healthy scratched again for the rest of his
Same,
career. For the rest of his
same.
career, I hope this is it. I hope this is his moment where he realizes his full potential. Screw everybody in the organization. I'm Alexis Lafreniere. I had 120 something points for Rimouski. I'm better than everybody. I'm gonna go play my game. That's what I want to see have happen. Like I want to see that happen. I want to see that all these kids play the way they were in juniors and
Kako's
wherever,
starting to.
yeah,
He
wherever they
is.
are, wherever they came from, um, and just forget about who's ahead of you on the depth chart. Forget about it. Just play the way that you've always played for the majority of your life. Don't play the way the don't play the way the Rangers are asking you to play. Like,
I knew what you were going to say, and I was like, yeah, he's going to say it anyway. That's true. I mean, be who you were, man. Don't try to fit the system. Go and be the player why they drafted. They drafted you because you were a certain type of player. Go be that player.
David Quinn wouldn't let that happen, but Gerard Gallant might. For as much as we say, as much as we talk crap about him, how he may or may not be the coach for the team, Gerard Gallant is a player's coach, and he is going to let you like go, my grasshopper, my fellow friend, whatever. The world is your oyster, or whatever.
True.
If David Quinn was the coach, Vitaly Kravtsov would have been benched after he tried that between the legs move on who was it, Orlov, and against the Capitals. He got knocked down on it, but he still tried it, and then he came back and he did it on Victor
Hedman.
Hedman.
Hedman,
Victor
dude, yeah.
Hedman, and he made him look like a traffic code.
I know. It was great. And every time you say Quinn's name, I get heartburn. So
I
it's
know,
pretty brutal.
I know, man, I know. Yeah, he wasn't the guy for us, but yeah,
And again, I will
good.
say, I do meme a lot, but I believe Gerard Gallant is the right coach for the New York Rangers. He might be the right coach in the wrong time, but I think we're going to keep him for a while. And I think that in a year and a half, 2 years, when we are deep playoff pushing and we are in our quote window, we will all look back and go, wow, I'm really glad he stayed with the team because once those kids are older and he's not treating them like kids anymore and he's treating Othman like a kid instead, it's like, then we're there. And I hope we just get there like I was telling Statboy Steven when I was tweeting him, I hope when we are on the ship going to that playoff window that the people that I like and that I hope are still here, like Kako, Heedle, and Lafreniere, are still on the boat.
Yeah. I- I'll take it one step further and say I hope they're like the guys, the engines of that boat, making
Yeah,
it move.
true,
Honestly,
true.
because we know the captains of the boat. We know it's Panarin. We know it's Zibanejad. We know it's Truba and
Igor,
Fox, Igor Shesterkin. But who's making it move? You know what I mean? Those are the guys
everyone's
that
got to
make
help.
sure. Those are the guys that are making sure everything goes right. That get us the goal when we need it. Everything's got
Absolutely,
to move. Everything.
absolutely.
Yeah. But anyways, Snags, thanks so much for joining me this week. Today, New Year's Eve. Um, 40 minutes it's turned into.
Yeah, hey, it didn't even feel like it. I felt like I just sat
All
down.
right.
So I
Right.
appreciate you hitting me up and having me on. And anytime you need someone, I always am willing to chat, especially after my son gets scratched. So
Yeah. Yep. Yep. All right. Ice Cold Takes fans. Love you guys. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you to all the followers, all the subscribers on YouTube. Make sure you guys go check out Old City Sports Network. Gonna have some more stuff on there. That's not limited to just Philadelphia sports, although it may seem like it is. That's going to extend to possibly Giants territory, New York Jets territory. God forbid we get an Islanders show. I'm going to pick on every now and then. But yeah, we have big things planned for Old City Sports Network. Ice Cold Takes for sure is coming back next year in 2023. Thanks once again to everybody, and take care and have a happy new year.